Hello and welcome back to the Done Deal YouTube channel, and today you join us with the all new Volkswagen Tiguan. Now it is really all new. It's built from the ground up to be more stylish, more aerodynamic and more enjoyable to drive. And over the last few years we've seen the new Hyundai Tucson, the Kia Sportage and even the new Nissan Qashqai. So it's finally Volkswagen's time to shine in a very busy segment. Now prices, well, they start at 48,000 euros, which it is a lot of car for the money. However, that is about 10,000 euros more than the equivalent Hyundai or Kia. The theme for the new Tiguan is a little bit more friendly and certainly a lot more aerodynamic. So you'll see the likes of the grille here is filled in to help increase that airflow. And actually this spec has a nice light bar across the front. We'll talk about specs later, but as we make our way to the side, there's a nice 19-inch alloy wheels. And again, they're filled in to be a little bit more aerodynamic. From the side profile, you can see it's a Tiguan. It's got the roof bars that are infamous with it, and it just has that usual presence that you'd expect. And then it's got the IQ lights at the rear and the light bar too. In terms of specs, well, there is 3 specs right now. The first is the first edition, then elegance, and then Line, which we have here. Now my advice is go to your local dealer. You can hit the link up there to find the nearest one to you, and they'll be able to advise you on the subtle differences between each and every one of those. Now in terms of engines, well, there is a plug-in hybrid. It's got a 19.3 kilowatt hour battery, and that has a range of up to 100 kilometers, which is really impressive, and certainly worth considering if you're doing a lot of driving around town. However, I suspect this here, the 2-litre diesel, will probably be the one that everyone goes for. I'm basing that off the stats, and in 2023 and in 2024 so far, over 90% of Tiguan sold have been diesel. So the interior of the Tiguan, in my opinion, this is the perfect blend of ID cars and old school Volkswagens, kind of in 2018 when, in my opinion, they were almost in their prime. So you've got a lovely steering wheel with physical buttons. Gone are the haptic feedback buttons that used to just drive everyone bonkers. So that is a big plus. This Line seat is so comfortable. It kind of reminds me of the seats that we'd see in some of the Skoda, the VRS for example, which is lovely. Seating position, armrest on the left and the right, and again, I just love how adjustable this is on Volkswagen products. There is 2 wireless charging points down here. And then let's talk about this ginormous screen. I actually don't think a video will do it justice. It is massive, 15 inches, and it has everything you could possibly need. Generally, you're gonna have your Apple CarPlay open, but you can put it in different tabs so that 2 or 3 things can be open at the same time. Another thing I'm gonna point out is the on button is down here. And also there is this, which is a volume knob, which some of the ID cars are missing. But actually, if you press it down, it can change the mood in here from lounge to joy and even to energetic. And if you swipe across, it can also change from comfort to sport. So this is where your driving modes are quickly accessible. So it is a very good idea. In front of me here, there's another screen, which is nice and useful. It has everything from my speed, my revs, and your maps can sit out behind it, and it's also completely customizable. And then I also have a heads-up display here, which is very difficult to pick up on camera, but it's nice to just have the speed limit and any other information just on my eye level as I drive down the road. And then last but not least, to put it in gear, it's the same as you have in an ID3 or an ID4. You just twist that in and off you go. So to drive, well, the last Volkswagen I actually drove was the Touareg, and it's a lot smaller but almost a nicer size. You don't feel like every road you go down you're going to clip someone's mirror or hit a curb. It's the perfect size for the real Irish roads. What's more is this diesel engine. I kind of love the diesel, to be completely honest. It's hard to beat the torque that you get instantaneously from it. Yes, EVs are quicker, and yes, a petrol is a nicer sound, but sometimes a nice diesel is hard to beat. On top of that, you can control what gear you're in on these paddles if you decide to. Generally, you don't use it. A good tip actually is to turn them off if you accidentally hit them. Just hold the up gear for about 3 seconds and it will switch back to drive. In terms of driving aids, it's got loads. So actually this has a 360 camera, so when you're parking in tight spots, it's really easy to see where the lines are, where the curbs are, and it just makes life a doddle. I had it in the city centre yesterday and it just was very easy to drive around. When you get on the motorway, you do have your adaptive cruise control. It can be specced with lane assist, and generally speaking, Volkswagen's pretty good at that, particularly in their adaptive cruise control. It tends not to panic when the speed limit changes or if a car pulls out in front of you too much. A good thing about that actually is it does have road sign recognition. So right now it knows that my speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour. And that's really handy because sometimes when you're driving in unfamiliar roads, you might not know the speed limit and then you could accidentally get done for speeding. So a nice little feature. And as you can imagine, it has emergency braking and all the other safety features that you'd expect in a modern car with a good safety rating. You can customize the driving mode you're in. There's a shortcut down here. You can put it in sport, you can put it in eco, whatever suits you. But there is also the opportunity to go into individual and you can set it up as you like. And this has DCC, which essentially means it's got adjustable dampening in the suspension. Without being really nerdy, that essentially controls the comfort of the suspension. So if you put it really hard over here, it will be really stiff and you'll feel every bend and every bump, but it will keep it very stable if you're driving aggressively. If you put it down here in comfort, it softens up and it becomes a more flowing, easy to drive car that glides over any small little imperfections in the road. And that is really nice, having DCC in something like this. Traditionally, you kind of see it in higher end cars or maybe sports cars. It's always been a thing of the Golf GTI from the Mark 7 and Mark 8, but it is great to have it here in a lovely Tiguan. As a whole, it's a lovely car to drive around town. I think it really is excellent on the motorway. I think if you're a sales rep with maybe a family, this could be the perfect company car. The diesel engine just munches up those motorway mileage and it's a lovely place to be. Fun fact for you. The reason it's called a Tiguan is because it's a mix between a tiger and an iguana. Now in here, the boot, it opens up electronically, and actually the really interesting thing is it's bigger than its predecessor, and the big reason for that is because the car is actually longer. So you get 652 litres in here. It's a gigantic boot, there's loads of space. There's a small bit of storage under there in the diesel, but if you get the plug-in hybrid, it doesn't have that extra space. And it's just a functional boot, and the seats even fold really easily at just the pull of a lever. But that is basically the boot in summary. In the rear, we've got ISOFIX points, really easily accessible, which I quite like. And then when you step in, obviously this car has the Orline seats in front of you, which are really nice. And actually they look quite well in front of you here too. Now the seat can actually go forwards and backwards, and it can also recline by the pull of this lever, which is quite nice. And actually for rear passengers, it is good. They've got a little bit of storage here where you can put a phone, some more down here, USB-C charging points, and then here there's also an armrest with some cup holders, which are quite nice too. So there you have it. That is Done Deal's review of the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. And I have to say, it's really, really nice. I love the old Tiguan, and I know the Irish people also did, but the new one, it is that step up. It feels a little bit more premium, and the interior is just a lovely place to sit, particularly if you get it in the Orline spec. Now, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment down below, and of course make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for all of our reviews coming in the very near future. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.